Yeah, this seems to get folks so fired up. Guys, I have been baking since I was 19 years old, and I've done hundreds of cakes. And I think this question comes from more of a fear of like, oh, there's pesticides and there's it's dirty and you're destroying the integrity of the cake and all these things. I've never had, in all my years of floral design, ever had any of my clients or their guests get sick from eating a cake that had flowers on it. There's ways that you can protect the cake if you want to by putting like wax flower. There's these little holders, but it's so awkward looking and it doesn't look that great. And to be honest with you, think about it, guys. With a cake at a wedding, most of the time that cake is a display cake. It's not something they actually even serve to you. They serve it from a sheet cake.
Right.
So everyone's fear is so irrational around this. If you want to think about it, when a caterer is going to slice that cake, they're going to take off the floral part of it anyway. So chances are whatever touches it is minimal. And you shouldn't be sticking a 6-inch stem into the cake. It's just, you only need a couple of inches. Make sure your flowers are clean and prepped before you go, so there's not gunky stuff on them and they're dry. That helps a lot. But the caterer is going to cut that away anyway because it's not aesthetically pleasing to serve a slice of cake with a bunch of flowers jabbed into it. So they're going to only serve the part of the cake that looks aesthetically pleasing on a plate. Think about it. We've all been to weddings. We have never gotten a slice of cake with flowers on it.
Or like have holes in it from the flowers. Never ever.
It never happens. I think this is an irrational fear. Also, with a lot of brides, I think in all my years I've had 1 or 2% of all the people ask about this. And if they're really an eco-friendly person, they would, there are organic options. You can buy flowers now. We're used to back in the day, you could not. But there are local growers. Grow your own flowers. Use herbs. You can buy edible flowers. Use things that are pesticide free if this is really important to you and you're very ecologically minded. But just know most of your clients don't care. They know. I've never really had anybody worry about this. It just seems to be a new. Well, it's not new. I've been at weddings where the baker has freaked out because I'm putting flowers on the cake. Some of them want to do that themselves. There's just a small section of people that get really worked up about this. Sorry, I'm not poo-pooing that people are concerned about the pesticides. It is a true thing. But if you think about it, we're handling them all the time. They're on our hands. Flowers, we are exposed to them all the time, and you are still standing and living. So it's not a good thing that we get those things, but washing your hands and keeping your hands clean. That's my take on it. So
thanks. I appreciate it. And when we had our kind of cake debacle, I did a little bit of research too, and I did find like a really good video where a designer kind of taped everything, all the flower stems, and then before she put it in the cake, she would cut like straws and then put the stem in there. But still, even when that happens, you still have like the petals touching it. So
it's realistic to try to design like that. Even they give on little oasis, and they still sell them little tiny oasis. People had a cake topper.
Right. Yeah.
That's still not environmentally friendly to use a little oasis block that could possibly drip all over the cake. It's just calm down, people. It's not going to hurt anyone. And you are already working with flowers that are covered in pesticides. You have to change your whole business model. You can be an organic florist, period. And you guys know I am so eco-friendly. I want everybody to practice best practices with things. And I think that we have to understand things before we freak out about them so much. We get a lot of, people that just are really reactionary about things. And ideally, we wouldn't use pesticides or fungicides. Fungicides are all over roses, and it's just something that's just part of the business. There's not going to be any way that, we can change that. There's Veriflora practices. A lot of these farms are doing the very best they can to take care of these people. We're very conscious of that. But I think it's just, you are in a business that's not eco-friendly 100%. And it's accept that, and then try to explain to your clients when you're talking to them about that. Say, look, we're going to do our best if this is important to you. to be eco-friendly. I wouldn't put, like, back to the cake, don't put flowers on the cake, decorate around the cake, use herbs, use other alternatives, plants, whatever you need to do. And I think it's just a matter of, this is a personal thing for you, then figure out a way to make it work for your business. If you are afraid that you're going to upset some people or whatever with this situation with the cake, that honestly, it's not as scary to do as people think. So just don't destroy the cake, don't cover it and take away from the integrity of the cake.
Right. Yeah. Of course. I see a lot of really great comments from people, so I'm going to go through those real quick. Penny says, our shop keeps notes on customers with certain allergies. I think that's a really great thing to do. Yeah. We have Amy says, you can spray the back of the flowers with an edible candy sealant. I had no idea something like that exists, but that's cool to know. Yeah, that's fun.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, edible flowers. We do sell edible flowers. They come in a box. Oh, I did a product guide a long time ago. Are they different? Does anyone know? I have no idea. It was like a box of edible flowers. Do you guys?
Yeah, no, we still carry those. They do need to be pre-booked, and I think there's a minimum or something. So sometimes it's feasible, sometimes it's not. If you're ever in doubt, call your sales rep. We can do some research for you. There are lists online that you can look up poisonous plants. You can always Google in the genus and species of the thing you're working with. If you don't know that, we'll provide it for you. Some things are toxic. Some things aren't, just by nature. So
definitely knowing that would help.
Yeah, when in doubt, call a professional, and we'll do the research on it. Try to help find an answer for you.
Right. And Penny mentioned Mayesh offers organic flowers. Thank you, Penny. We do have organic flowers. I do want to point out about that, though, because I feel like just because it's organic doesn't mean that there isn't anything on it, and it doesn't mean that it's necessarily good for you. So
but they are they are USDA certified as edible. So that's really important.
Edible flowers,
That means they have the minimum amount of anything that might,
the edible flowers, but I'm talking about organic in general.
Organic. Okay.
Yeah.
Another thing, hydroponically grown flowers, believe it or not, they can't classify them as organic because they're not grown in soil, but those flowers are almost pristine because of the way that they're grown. And so you could request hydroponically grown roses, for example. There's a few growers that do that here in California, actually. So that's another option a lot of people don't think about, because if you think how they're grown, I don't know if you guys know how hydroponically grown flowers are grown. Maybe we can do a link or show something about that, but those are pretty safe too.
This is also like protecting your business. Make sure that there aren't allergies. Make sure you have certain clauses in there that protect yourself from, like, if someone does happen to eat something and then has this thing, you just need to protect yourself, and make sure you have lawyers reviewing your contracts and things like that. Make sure that you got it all squared away and you're protected from all different sides.